Welcome to Screen Junkies News. I'm Alicia Malone, and I'm a little bit excited today because we got our first look at Blade Runner 2049, and I'm with some people who are also really, really excited about this one. Dan Murrell.
Hello.
Ross Cornett.
Hello.
And over checking the tweets, Victor Torres. Now, you can join in. I like you just a little thumbs up there, Victor. Very understated. You can join in on the conversation using the hashtag SJNews, and Victor will be looking out for the best comments. And just to set this up before we play the trailer, so it's the sequel. It's a long-awaited sequel, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Ryan Gosling, who's playing the new LAPD officer trying to track down replicants, we think. We don't really know too much. Also trying to track down Rick Deckard, who's again played by Harrison Ford. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's roll it. Watch it. I just freak out when I see LA.
Look at that.
Roger Deakins doing the cinematography, so it's going to look beautiful. Oh, I love it.
Benefit or a hazard. If they're a benefit, it's not my problem.
Is it going to be narration again? It's not.
Probably not from Harrison Ford, I would imagine.
I hope not, because that was his voice. Ooh, is this the otherworld colonies they talked about in the first one?
I don't like sand. Coarse, rough.
Ooh.
Boy, what a lucky stroke they got locking him down.
I know. He is going to be one of our greatest directors of all time, I think.
Now that, I believe, is a location from the first film.
Oh, right. Now sort of post-apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
And here's Baby Goose.
Baby Goose.
I did your job once.
Wait for it.
Very familiar apartment.
I was good at it.
The voice.
Oh.
Yeah, there he is. Is he a replicant? Is he human?
Things were simpler then.
Things were simpler in 1982, it's true.
It's true.
Not really.
A little bit.
No, not really.
I mean, obviously, the look of the film, very similar.
Oh, yeah, it comes out October next year.
October.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. And as you saw, Ridley Scott is in the credits there being executive producer, but not directing.
Yeah, it's so funny when it's interesting. I mean, this is a little off topic, but also on topic. I think that we do imagine that the past was a simpler time so often, but it really wasn't necessarily.
In some ways, it depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about things like, is this one going to tackle technology and social media and all the stuff that has changed since the first one, was created to create this extra futuristic world? I'm not sure.
Well, it's funny. And I said this on a couple other shows, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but we were doing some deep dives for a Screen Junkies show with some old Star Wars interviews, and I found one.
Guys, if you have not watched that Screen Junkies show, can I plug it, Dan?
Sure.
You
plug
absolutely.
away.
Dan dug through the depths of the internet and found some amazing interviews, and he did a great job producing that piece. Hal hosted the heck out of it, and you should check it out. That's my plug.
Over on Screen Junkies right now. Check it out. But I found a great interview with Harrison Ford. It didn't make the cut, from 1983 when he was promoting Return of the Jedi, and it was kind of a profile on him, and it said, it's going over Raiders of the Lost Ark and Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. It's like, but not every movie he's made has been a good one. He's also been involved in some high-profile failures, like 1982's Blade Runner. And it's just like, it just goes to show you the perspective of time, which was that when Blade Runner came out, it was a high-profile failure.
Yes.
And now here we are.
It's a classic.
It's a classic.
It's a sci-fi classic.
Well, but it's also this very interesting case of the director's cut of that film made all of the difference. And that version is what we now consider the classic. So
many different versions.
There's so many different versions, and there's so many different questions. I think that Blade Runner is also a really interesting film because it got so much acclaim that I think that thing of there was a correction where people then said, no, it's overrated for a really long time, which I always draw a little bit of umbrage with. It is not an overrated film.
No.
Even remotely. And this is cinematically alone, it's gorgeous. But it's also one of the sci-fi classics, absolutely, of our time, but
film noir,
of all time.
Futuristic, like a neo-noir. It's just so beautiful. And I have to admit, Dan, when I first heard there was going to be a sequel, I was like, no! And then they said who's involved, and I was like, okay.
I think even now people will sometimes call AI in films replicants, not realizing that replicants are specifically connected to the world of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Well, and of course we have Harrison Ford now. That's been the driving question. Of course, the legacy of that film, as people discovered it, was is Deckard a replicant or is he a human? And first of all, I think that Harrison Ford must have it in his contract that when he reprises an iconic character, he enters wielding a weapon. This is the second time in a row, Han Solo and now Deckard. But
It's very heroic.
are they going to answer it? They
I don't
have
think
to, right?
I-
They have to answer the question.
I don't know. I don't think that they will because I think they want that to be the enduring question. Although, replicants were supposed to have a 4-year
4-year,
lifespan, and he's definitely aged.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that, look, if you can be programmed to die within 4 years, then you can figure out how to reprogram so that you don't die in 4 years. And it's arguable that they could age in a way that is similar to the human beings. I mean, the Terminator did that. I think that you're right, maybe, Alicia.
It depends if this is a standalone or if this is the start of a new franchise.
Well, no, I mean, I don't even think
they
it's
wanna,
that.
Keep it the mystery.
What is the fundamental question of Blade Runner, right?
Yeah, is he a replicant? Or what makes a human
What
human?
makes a
What
human
makes humanity,
human?
yeah.
If you answer if Deckard is a human or a replicant, then you're answering that question. And maybe they don't. Denis Villeneuve seems like the kind of filmmaker that doesn't want to answer that question for you, the audience. Right?
Yeah, and even going back to the first Blade Runner, I mean, the most beautiful moment of that movie is a replicant with Rutger Hauer and that whole speech, like tears and rain. I mean, that just goes. I mean, that's him saying, okay, sure, you're the human, but I've seen things, I've seen beautiful things, and now they're gone. That movie has so many complex questions, and it's going to be interesting to see, how much of this is tied up with Deckard and the old movie. I mean, you've got Gosling. He's no slouch.
Yeah.
He's especially if we'll see how La La Land does and specifically how he does on the award show circuit. But it's going to be interesting to see what the balance is with this.
Yeah.
I hope that with Denis Villeneuve, I don't think he'd be attracted to a project that was just a retread. That had something original to say, but I hear it looks like it's going to be some kind of combination. But I like that it doesn't end with Deckard. It ends with him walking through the streets, which to me says it's going to be his story.
Yeah, I love it. Officer K, his name is. Could be a Kafka fan. I don't know.
Men in Black fan.
Could be a Men in Black fan.
Let's talk about, so that if people don't know the basic synopsis for this, Ryan Gosling's character, Officer K, is a new Blade Runner, and he has uncovered a buried secret that has the potential to plunge what's left of society into chaos, which sounds very dramatic. But I do think, you're right, Alicia, when I first heard of this, because I love Blade Runner, I said, no, put your toy down, Ridley Scott.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. It's perfect as it is.
Focus on Alien.
But well, that's another.
Wow. I remain hopeful for Covenant.
Yes.
So do I. 100%
hopeful,
hopeful
yeah.
for Covenant.
There's
I
an
love
actual
Ridley
alien
Scott.
in it, which is going to be great.
But with the addition of Denis Villeneuve, who's the perfect, I think, director, because he has the exact tonal style that should, that is, I cannot speak the English language. I have not had my coffee today. The exact tonal style that works for a Blade Runner movie, but also Ryan Gosling, I trust not to take on a project unless it's going to be good. And maybe that's a bit naive of me because how can an actor really know what the final product will be?
Yeah.
But if there's any actor that I think has shown a good ability to choose his projects wisely, it's Gosling. He's tried a lot. Let's not talk about certain things, Gangster Squad aside.
Yes, but I feel like he's someone who doesn't do a job just for a paycheck. And I mean, again, that could be naive, I don't know.
Yeah.
But also doesn't go for franchise movies or things that I'm sure he's been offered so many superhero
But
roles.
it's
and stuff
hard
that he
to
goes for more dramatic stuff. I don't know, more character studies.
It would be hard to turn that down, though. If somebody came to me and was like, hey, do you want to be in the Blade Runner sequel? You're going to be working with Harrison Ford, Ridley Scott's producing, and Denis Villeneuve's directing. I just say yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd even read the script. I'd just say yes.
Yeah.
I think Denis Villeneuve would be a big turning point.
Exactly.
Of oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also in the cast you have Jared Leto, Mackenzie Davis, Robin Wright, Dave Bautista.
Which
is
doing
amazing.
well.
Yeah.
And Lenny James.
Yeah.
So no Sean Young, but that's not much of a surprise.
No, poor Sean Young. And she was so good in this film, but no. Dan, talk about what happened to poor Sean Young.
Well, Sean Young was, a very sought for actress. The thing, Batman kind of derailed everything for
Yeah.
her. She was the original Vicky Vale in Batman. She got injured. She had to be replaced by Kim Basinger. Then Batman Returns came around, and she decided that she wanted to be Catwoman, and she pursued the role a little aggressively. Dressed up as
publicly.
Catwoman, showed up to people's offices in costume and character, and she got a bit of a reputation as being someone who's difficult to work with.
Yeah,
Maybe a little unpredictable, and I think that she had a very hard time shaking that image.
She also went on to, I think it was a late night show, and I don't think it was the Tonight Show.
It was some one of them,
But she went on a late night show dressed up as Catwoman, pitching herself as Catwoman, and it did not go over very well. But in any event,
Which is sad because it really overshadows her great performance in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
it really does.
It does. She was legitimately really good in that movie.
She's legitimately really good in everything she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Great actress. What are you hoping to see from this movie, from the sequel? I love those shots that we get of LA. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
Futuristic LA.
I'm looking forward to seeing Roger Deakins finally winning an Academy Award,
oh, gosh,
man.
13 nominations.
How is that guy never won?
Oh my gosh,
That's
it's so
insane.
crazy.
This long buried secret. Look, we could assume that this long buried secret is exactly about Deckard, and maybe it's this idea that replicants live far longer than we thought, and maybe they've infiltrated a lot of society and things like that. But I don't really care. I'm sort of looking forward to seeing a film that sparks as much conversation, a new conversation even.
Yeah, I hope it's a new conversation.
That Blade Runner did when it was released. That's sort of what I'm hoping, and that it's that same, and I believe that it will be enthralling, evocative, beautiful, captivating experience that just film draws me in every time I see it.
Yeah, it's a very challenging movie. It asks a lot of questions. It doesn't answer a lot of those questions that it asks, which it makes a lot of people skittish these days because, you know, it's a tough sell. I think that's part of the problem that Blade Runner ran into was it's a very opaque movie and it requires a lot of the audience, and sometimes people aren't up for that. I think Denis Villeneuve is a great choice because he has made films like that, even films that have very straightforward. I mean, Sicario is a very straightforward, if you're just breaking down the plot, a very straightforward story, but it asks a lot of very complex questions that you have to think about. So
same with Prisoners.
Same with Prisoners. Same with
Definitely
Arrival.
Enemy.
Definitely Arrival.
Enemy, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he definitely traffics in that kind of area of just like it's a conventional story, but you leave with a lot of great questions, and so I'm very intrigued to see the approach that they take here.
And I'm looking forward to arguing about it in a non-confrontational, I hate you and want bad things for you, but in an actually like engaging way that film lovers, I think, we don't do as much as we should anymore, where, you know, you and I have a different take on Arrival and certain logical points there. I have a different take on Sicario than a lot of my friends, and I love talking about it.
Sure.
Because I don't necessarily think that either one of us is totally right or wrong.
No,
I just think it's a matter of perspective.
discussion. I know, and I
interpretations.
love those movies that you can go out for a coffee or a glass of wine with your friend or whoever you're with, and then just have that deep discussion. And even if you don't agree, it's so much fun. I love that. Well, Victor, what are people saying on Twitter?
Well, not too much fact checking to do here, but I will say that people overall, more than anything, whether like Deckard's a replicant or not, everyone's really excited about Denis Villeneuve. That's been like pretty much what I've been getting, is that people, even a few people who haven't seen the movie, are at least like, I'm ashamed I haven't seen it, but I'm really excited to see what he will do with it. So that's been basically what I've been getting here. Oh, and Roth, just to echo what you were saying, they want one version, just one version of it. No
Okay.
director's cut, no
it
theatrical.
is, it is hard to
multiple
duplicate the Blade
versions.
Runner.
I know. I always get
Which
that question
ones?
of like, which one do I watch?
Is it the ultimate, the one that
What
they
do you
did
say?
reshoots
I say
on?
directors.
Yeah, directors.
Director's
What do you
cut.
say?
I to be honest, I don't even know if I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
So I do know that the director's cut is
That is-
I think a far superior film to the theatrical version, mainly because it did not. Harrison Ford just sounded so unengaged.
Yeah. Well, he
in
said-
the theatrical version. He literally didn't want
Yeah,
to do
so
it.
they had to drag him kicking
Yeah.
and screaming to do that narration.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
You can
it just
tell.
has that monotone, empty feeling to
And
it.
it doesn't need it.
No.
It doesn't need it.
And it's got the weird recycled shots from The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
With them driving away.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Yeah, definitely the director, if you're going to go between those two, is the one. Now, then you can delve deeper into the ultimate extended, the ones with the reshoot. That's a
start
whole
with
other
the
story, but
directors.
start with the directors.
I agree. We also asked the question on Twitter, with Harrison Ford returning, what else are you hoping reappears? And Act Eric J. Roker said, lots and lots of origami. I really hope so too. I want to
go.
see more origami in this one. And then at Roz Snacky Time said, ashamed to say, I've never seen the original, but with my favorite director in charge, got a good incentive to watch it.
Excellent.
And,
well, that's great,
That's
right?
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my hope, is that people will go now and discover the first Blade Runner before they see this one. And what a treat is that?
Yeah, and also I think Ridley Scott, to discover early Ridley Scott. I mean, most people I think probably have seen Alien.
Yeah.
But this to me, I love Alien, but I don't know which one would you say is
It's
is
so
his
different.
real masterpiece. They're so different.
I love
Very
that he
different.
did both. I mean,
Yeah.
what a filmmaker.
Well, and it's been so long since the first one. I think that's another incentive for them to just know that you cannot rely on nostalgia, as so many movies do right now.
Yes.
That you can't rely on people's love for the first one for this one to be a success. You've got to make your own movie and then hope that they go back to the original, which is going to add layer and add depth. But you cannot rely on the fact that people know the first movie to make this one entertaining.
Yeah.
Some have done it better than others, but too many of them,
And this is not a sentimental filmmaker.
no.
No, I think he's going to be asking some tough questions, not giving us any answers, and I cannot wait for it. Dan Murrell, Roth Cornett, and Victor Torres, thank you so much for joining me. And if you want more Screen Junkies goodness, bless you, Dan.
Thank you.
Just click over here, and then you can get more of that. And subscribe, like, comment, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at SJ News. We'll see you soon.